Hi everyone, we are Drift. My name is Lonneke, this is Ralph, and we'd like to take you to our exhibition.
So drift has two meanings. In English it means drifting is like finding your path naturally, and it has to do with Lonneke's energy. And in Dutch it's more like, it's almost like focused aggression, like making something happen by force. And that is the description that fits me well. So that's the Dutch translation. And it just made sense that we will call ourselves that. So we're here at Materialism. This is our series whereby we break down everyday objects into their original materials, and we bring them back into this block shape with proportions 2:1. We also like to compare different objects in different times. So we love to take apart everyday objects and compare them to each other. So 3210, and this is an iPhone 4S, and you can see like over the course of almost a decade, you see the change in material that has been used. So this is our watch series, and in this series we like to compare an everyday object with so-called different value. This is a Rolex, what is a high-end watch, and the Casio, that is obviously a very cheap to buy, but very precise timepiece. In the two different things you can see the amount of materials that have been used in the Casio is actually more, and might be even more interesting than in the Rolex. So it talks about the value of an object when you take it down, even if it's broken, like it still has the same material value, and you could even wonder which one should actually be at a higher value.
So the centerpiece of this space is the artist, he, him, and she, her. So this is Ralph, and this is me. And we took apart basically the molecular parts of a human based on the different stages of a life. And you can see the development and how life is developing. So basically, this was me as a newborn baby.
And that's me.
And that is Ralph. This is me and Ralph when we were 4 years old. 40 years old, so this is kind of the stage that we're in now.
And this is the stage the next stage is the stage we hope to reach. So this is 80. Again, the back line is me, and this is Lonneke. And what you see here is the end of life, reduced to ashes, and that's basically how we all end up.
The remains of a human life. So it's quite confronting to see how much fat and how much lipids and how much glycerinous and red blood cells we have, and that this all together is life. Especially for our exhibition here in Seoul. And that's the Shin Ramyun. And what is it actually that you're eating? So we took apart this bag. The materials of the bag are here displayed. There is sugar, there is salt, there are herbs, and this is the amount of fat. And the noodles is this. So basically when you put everything back to a block, we can relate to it in a different way. Like as human beings, blocks are very clear for us. So suddenly we talk about volumes and we don't talk more about food. We talk about volumes and not anymore about life. And the difference in looking at an object and breaking it down to the materials is to make a connection back to the earth and realize that everything that we surround ourselves with, whether it's food, whether it's our own body, or whether it's an object, comes in the end from this planet. In our work, we focus on the relationship between us, humanity, with the world around us. So the connection to nature, the connection to our environment, and our connection to technology. Movement communicates in a completely different way than written text next to an artwork, or it tells a story, it communicates emotion. You don't have to think about it, you can feel the work. And we found out along the way, and alongside learning more about mechanics and working with all types of different technology specialists and engineers, and basically becoming an engineer ourselves, we found out that movement and animation of objects is our way of communicating to an audience. Materialism is an exception. We not limit ourselves to movement, but most of the time that's what we use as a tool, you can say, as art technique.
Translation of energy and that, you know, is a simulation of life, and that's what we try to achieve.
This is a work that we started with in 2006. Shylights are objects that have different stages of being. Humans tend to make objects that are always still and you always know what they are because they have the same shape. But we like what nature has, that it's always in transformation. Nyctinacy is a process where flowers open their leaves during the day and close at night. So when a flower is blossoming for the first time, it's just opening a little bit. And when it's blossoming at the end of its life, it opens completely and fulfills itself with sunlight, but also to attract bees. So a flower is not just a flower, it has its stages, it has its life cycle. And we love to explore that by choreographing objects, and Shylight is one of them.
And showing this natural beauty, the wind capturing the pieces. And
the silk is sewn by hand in a way that it captures the air resistance, and in that way the structure opens up. So it's based on a natural structure, but we see it as an abstract object. So some people can see flowers in it, other people see jellyfish in it. And for us, we can even see other things in it. We look at these abstract and overlapping patterns in nature, and we use them in our work.
A piece whereby we've broken down a natural frequency over 20 steps, and together they all make the same movement, but together in line it becomes an elegant frequency of nature, broken down over these different steps.
So the basic inspiration for this work was actually the amazingness of birds that can fly, and we as humans have not mastered yet to really fly as our own bodies. Of course, we have airplanes, you have all sorts of devices, but the like rising up from the earth has never been possible yet, and it remains a dream in the brain of humans. So we wanted to celebrate that, and then looking at the flapping of birds and like one full sequence of moving air up and down, we saw that this is exactly the same movement as waves. Waves also have resistance, they work with the wind, they have their rhythms, and this wave pattern and this sinus movement is a movement that nature uses a lot. We have programmed the movement in a frequency that is very close to our heart. It's related to the frequency of the earth, the frequency of our heartbeat, and the frequency of our breathing. And because of this calm rhythm, people that enter the space start feeling calm when they're here for a little while. So we have found out through our works that movements have a big influence on how we feel. So we experiment with movements in spaces to make people feel different.
we studied design, but loosely. Like we studied more the creative thinking of design, like the solution thinking, analyzing, coming up with ways to work with a new material, invent a new machine to produce something. So it's more like being knowledgeable in the field of materials and production technologies, in finding the right partners to create something, and also not being afraid to invent a new way of expressing yourself. We're not creating something if we have an idea and we see that something similar is happening or there's already a solution. We're less interested in that than developing our own technology. I think that's also what differentiates us from a lot of artists in the tech art field.
And when you look at the flowers, you see maybe a bit different colors within the flowers, and that is because of the nature of the seeds that we use. Some seeds are more brown and other seats are more yellow. And the yellow seats, they bring more yellow light, and the browner seats, the browner the seats, the more cold the light gets. It's very weird how this natural element in nature is spreading the light in a different way. And we try to mix all those different colors as much as possible to create this most organic effect.
Somebody comes across your work and they're like, how do they make that? How is that even possible? How do you, get it that refined? And, that's when you can, again, capture somebody's imagination, get somebody's attention for the work and open up their mind and tell a story. I think everything we do is about the story that we tell and how to reach an audience. It's really about pushing the boundaries of what's technically possible, inventing a new technology to make a concrete block fly, or hundreds of drones fly in the sky, or stick dandelion seeds one by one on an LED. It's doing these impossible things that create this moment of awe and surprise to engage with an audience. And
in this room, we have the making of Drift, and we show just a fraction of sketches, work methods in the videos here, models, and how we make. It's just a little bit of giving some insight in our process. Here they are laying completely taken apart. We basically literally screwed the parts, made hundreds and thousands of paper models in order to make it work and test them if they would actually make this beautiful movement. We are very happy to be here in storage space from Hyundai Card. We particularly like the space because it has an identity. It feels a little bit like a basement of a house, an unused space. And we really like that our artworks, they go well together with a space that has its own identity. And you can see, if you compare it to how we work today, that we came a long way in creating and learning to create technology for the artworks that we make.